Yeah, I want to share with you the stuff I've been put on the internet is really true. I've been reminded every day of how I died in jail for 3 days. I get voices to leaves moving, the thinnest movements of something like lint. I've seen spirits, chills. I've opened up biblical texts, Jehovah, Quran, the Holy Bible, the regular Bible. It took it to people that was right in front of me. A female named Delilah. She moved in my home when I got into an argument with my next door neighbor. And she moved people in her house. The reason why I ended up losing Section 8, she spent all my money. And I couldn't get them out the house. So I said, let's see what God has to say. Because my voice had already ported to King Tut, and I had this London accent of a voice change. And then I had threw my phone away recently, the Greyhound, where my voice turned astrological. Other human beings, you see the astrological look in them. Certain white folks, the blue, the green-eyed, certain people, you can tell, hey, these kind of people don't bother nobody. Then you can see other kind of people that have this mixed energy of Satan versus dark energy that are saved. And God was showing me the balances, how you still have deception. What can fear you from the looks of another person doesn't mean that it's also always a negative spiritual element about them. It's just somehow, because black people are brown and black eyes, we produce the alpha delta feeling of dark energy that can seem scary versus whatever else. Other people with different color eyes, they have this astrological look that can take it to a daydreamy effect, but there's still also deception. So there was battles and words and thoughts of things of how a comparison of people make your mood change that you're around. But long story short, I've had earthquakes. God telling me and telling me, look, it's going to be an earthquake. Take this stuff down. I've seen blue spirit hover above me. When I had smoked sherm, I felt the spirit from my gut go up towards my neck and to digest my food. I went through battles of ecstasy and everything else, and then God telling me, put down the drug, and the trees started sounding like an ocean. This is when I was in a home in Palmdale. Something wanted to make it seem, because God had promised me on the right hand of God, that I didn't want it. Something tried to turn me from that. I heard my mother's voice. I heard Parker, I heard Juicy. These are names of people that passed. Okay, I will open up to Thaddeus in the Bible. It took me to Peter, dude that didn't Harold Moret. It talked about a lot of stuff. Then I had spirits in the body making fun of all the sinful stuff that I had been through. It said, this is your judgment day. And then I kept hearing the word, you're caught. And then God was expressing how his tone of voice changed. And it was catching spirits within the body that were actually trying to take control and hack and be like non-conservative of how like you have to be born and grow up, and how they can anytime just enter our body and take over us as a child. And explain how the sperm cells swim for the ovary. Those ain't just sperm cells that know how to swim to the ovary and be born. These are in the battle of God and divine, like the divinity of God and its enemies. When these sperm cells are swimming to be born from the male's sac to the woman's womb, these are spirits, man, that have full knowledge. Like, they come with voices in a race. I've seen the cartoon growing up as a kid that said sucker when the sperm cells are running to be born. One stays back and calls them all suckers. Technology is a destruction of the world at some point, because we sit back and we watch and we learn. And God was saying how there's a silent enemy in everything that exists. So everything good that we can learn, Satan and the enemy also knows and learns. It's nothing that we really teach ourselves from day one. It's a spirit and it's all. I've seen the spirit inside my body that changed different facial looks. I've seen the Tupac look. I've seen different looks. It's let me know there's a salvation side to people. There's a side of people that ain't saved. There's a side where you can feel hell. You may not feel it. You can be birthed to a midget. You can be birthed as a baby. You can get punished and not go to hell. You can get put in hell. It broke down all these terminologies. And there was certain voices that was saying they want hell as hot as they can get it. Playing with the reality of my life and making fun of how they traumatize others. They tried to claim every organization, from Mason, Illuminati, this and this, and it didn't make sense. You know, I heard a voice in my head saying, they such and such, all in my head can't do nothing about it. And I started seeing other organizations and other stuff. And then God had told me how it birthed me in this pattern as God created everything, it birthed everything, and its enemies and everything, but how in this pattern, I did get attacked as a kid, and it was saying literally you are part of the chosen situations of why it chose for me to die for 3 days in jail and be resurrected. I now get voices to everything. I've seen the same food trays that was behind my head in bunk, my bunk in jail, in LA County Jail. I've seen these plates move around, Vegas, Hawaii, California, voices and stuff. I am linked to earthquakes, the sun getting bright, and door with a subconscious and a voice from God. The deep voice changed to a regular voice. Sometimes my voice tone changes to other people. And then when I replay the thoughts of how I died and many effects it can take me to how I've died, it becomes like different ways of tripping out. Like sometimes I feel like I'm in a coma and I'm not really alive in this world. I'm in a coma. Then it took me from that to killing me again and me seeing in a different way how I am alive. I'm resurrected. It took me to the injury of me being hit in the forehead when I was hit as a kid at 15, 16, and I fell out. And it seemed like he told me I died in seconds. I had a lot of life-death experiences growing up. When I died at 19, I did have a voice telling me before anybody else knew. It said, get a mask. It didn't say the word COV, but it told me and prepared for me to let me know. This when I was taking mental health medications. I kept telling my mental health doctors I'm getting voices with these medications. And these voices are making me feel like near death. And I'm having like battle with God and spirits. So this is the truth.